Welcome to some more spicy videos with me, Grandmaster Simon Williams, aka the Ginger GM. What are we going to be looking at today? Well, I'm going to do a mini series continuing some aggressive ideas in the opening that might help you guys get a quick victory. And in this game and the following 3 or 4 games, we're going to take a look at an opening which is very interesting, very aggressive, and extremely romantic. The Evans Gambit. Now, the Evans Gambit is still played at top level on rare occurrences, but it's been around for a number of years. And it's a great way to try and get an early attack after the move e4 in certain variations, which we'll come to soon. Now, the first game we're going to look at here is really an introduction to the Evans Gambit, and I'm going to demonstrate one of the most famous games of all time. This is a game between Anderson with the white pieces and Dufresne with the black pieces. It was played in 1852 and it was coined the Evergreen Game. So it's a famous game. It's even got its own name, the Evergreen Game. And apparently this name came from Steinitz, who wrote about this game. And it's a symbolic meaning which is named after a plant, apparently. There you go. That's my useless or useful little bit of knowledge you can get there on the name. And it really is a brilliant game. And it really does sum up the romantic era of chess around that time with some brilliant attacking ideas. So let's dive into the action, shall we? And we're going to be looking at this from the white side. And the opening started e4, e5. So again, this series is really concentrating on spicy ideas you can play against e5 after the move e4. Now, knight to f3. And of course, we've looked at other moves in my spicy series. We looked at the King's Gambit and the Danish Gambit. So I would recommend you check those ideas out as well. But after knight to f3, knight to c6 is the main move. Now bishop c4, and here we're going to concentrate on bishop c5. Now the other move that black plays here, knight to f6, has been looked at in my previous videos on the Max Lang attack. And again, I give a very aggressive option for white against this knight to f6 move. So we've covered that in previous videos. But bishop to c5 is now a very common answer from black. Black develops a piece and he stops any of these annoying ideas with knight g5 because the queen can snap that piece off. Now the Evans Gambit is now with the move b4, a very aggressive wing punt. It was actually named after a sea captain, Captain Evans, who was originally from Wales, who came up with this idea on board a boat when he was crossing the Atlantic, apparently. So even a romantic origin for the opening. And what's the idea of this b4 move? Well, you're trying to divert a piece away to b4, and really the only way to refute a gambit is by accepting the gambit. Later on we will have a look at bishop b6, but the only real challenge is bishop takes b4. Now knight takes b4 drops the e5 pawn, so that's not a very good option, and bishop takes b4 is the only move you really need to concern yourself about. And the point of this gambit is to now go c3. So we gain a tempo by attacking the bishop on b4. The bishop has to move. In this position, there's 2 good options for black, either bishop a5 or bishop e7. And we'll look at these in a future video because they really require a bit of theory, a bit of explanations. In this game, black played bishop a5, and here white played d4. One of the main ideas of this Evans Gambit. You go c3 to support d4 and attack in the center as quickly as possible. Here, black captured on d4. There is one other option, which again we'll look at later on, and that is d6. But taking on d4 is clearly critical because the pawn on c3 is pinned. But we're playing in a romantic fashion. We're trying to destroy our opponent. Let's not care about pawns. Whenever you're sacrificing gambiting, and if you want to be one of these romantic attacking players, you have to really play with a bit of like lack of respect to material and a bit of a flamboyant way. You know, don't care about material, just attack, attack, and attack. And the way white plays this is really nice because every move is pretty much a forwards move and every move has a purpose. And the one thing to bear in mind throughout this video is timing. If you play a gambit, timing is so key. You can't waste tempo. You don't care about your opponent taking pawns. You just develop at the speed of light. So with all that in mind, white now castled. And now you are threatening to just simply take back on d4, and you'd have two lovely pawns in the center. In this game, black decided to push on with d3. There are a number of options there. Again, we'll look at them later on. And here we see another typical idea for the Evans Gambit. One of the key weaknesses in black structure is the f7 square. This is one thing to always remember. Attack that square. Attack, attack, attack. So how can you attack it here? Well, you could go knight g5, which seems like a very natural move. But against this move, black can play knight to h6, defending that pawn. And he's getting ready to castle. We don't want our opponent to castle here. A better idea is queen b3. Again, attacking f7, but stopping the defensive idea of knight to h6, because now we're not blocking the bishop, so the bishop can simply eliminate that defensive piece on h6 with a very big attack here. So after queen b3, black has some difficulties defending f7. Now, a key thing to remember here is, if you play bishop c4 and queen b3 in the Evans Gambit, make sure you don't run into knight to a5, or be careful of knight to a5. Black can't do this here because there's a piece in the way, so we don't need to worry about that. Queen to f6 was played by black, defending this pawn on f7. And now, again, remember, attack, attack, attack. Which move here is the most aggressive? Well, there's two options. Bishop g5 or the move played. And the move played was e5. I really like this move. You're using your central pawn to, again, attack, attack, attack. This pawn cannot be taken because if black plays knight takes e5, we simply pin that knight to the king. And again, look how weak the black king is here. And after a move like d6, we have a lot of good options, but a simple move like queen b5 check would win us a piece and the game. So black saw this, and black played queen g6, and now white went rook e1 anyway. And this stops ideas of d6 and f6, because we'd be able to take those pawns, open up the rook with a check. Black played knight ge7, trying to desperately get castled. And now we see another key idea of the Evans Gambit. Bishop a3. So often this bishop comes to this beautiful diagonal, trying to cut across the black king and trying to stop the black king from castling. And the point here is, if black now castles, well, maybe he should castle, but at least our bishop has this lovely pin on the knight and we have ongoing pressure. Okay, black played b5 here. I don't think this is the best move. White captured that pawn, and now rook b8. So returning a pawn here to try to gain some activity, that's the black idea. The queen went to a4, and now bishop to b6. The problem here is, if black now tries to castle, you can win a piece. Can you see how you can win a piece here? Pause the video if you need to. Quite simple, quite straightforward. Bishop takes e7. Knight takes e7, and now the knight no longer defends the bishop on a5, so we simply take that piece. So black played bishop to b6, and here white simply played knight bd2, developing his last piece. Now, I have a rule. When you're attacking, if there's no immediate breakthrough, look at your reinforcements, look at your pieces which are not playing a part in the game, aka the knight on a1, and try to bring them into the fray. And this knight has a great future. It can rush to this good central square. Now, of course, black should have castled in this position. One of the funny things I always find when I look at these old romantic games, which would never happen now, it kind of seems like the defender, or should we say the receiver of the brilliancy, often plays into the attacker's hands. And you wouldn't see this at top level now. Or after castles, white still has a very good attack here. Possibly the rook can swing around to attack. There are many ideas here, but this is a much better option for black. After bishop b7, black is basically saying, come on, attack me, attack me. which is quite funny. This is what a lot of these old-fashioned games are. And I guess in order to sometimes create a bit of beauty, brilliancy, you need your opponent to play along a little bit. So now white brought the knight in, knight to e4. And here, if black castles, well, bishop takes d3 would be a very good attacking position for white, with ideas of knight f6 check, winning the black queen. Black now played queen f5. Again, a pretty silly move there. White played bishop takes d3 anyway, and there are ideas of winning this queen with a knight jump, so the queen had to move again. And now we come to an amazing combination, and this is one of the most famous combinations in the history of chess, and one of the reasons that this game is the Evergreen Game. Now, white could have played a move like knight g3, leading to a good position, but I really love the way white plays this. Every move is a forwards move, and when you're attacking, you've got to seize the initiative, seize your opportunity to launch your pieces. All of white's pieces are very well placed, so why not throw them into the mix? Knight to f6 check. An extraordinary check there. The idea is to open up this baby on e1. Come on, rook, join in the fun. Well, of course, black has to take the knight, and now pawn takes f6. And look at the pressure against the knight on e7. Black plays a good move here. Rook g8, trying to start a counterattack against the white king. And now there's only one piece not playing a part in the attack, the rook on a1. And I think at this moment, Anderson, who was considered the unofficial world champion in 1852, he won a very important tournament in London in 1851, and this really confirmed his position as the world number one. I think he saw the end of the game now, and he wanted to create a piece of art. I mean, a move like bishop takes e7 looks very strong, but he went rook a d1 with a very interesting idea in mind. Black now fell into the trick. He played queen takes f3, and things look very scary for white because there's a threat of queen takes g2. Now, can you see why this rook was moved to d1? An absolutely brilliant combination coming up, and I won't blame you if you don't see the end of it. First of all, rook takes e7 check, and this is aiming to release the queen towards d7. Black captured the rook, knight takes e7. If the king moves, well, then rook takes d7 check is going to lead to a winning position for white. You can't really take that rook because there's either bishop f5 leading to a mate. You can have a look at how that's going to be mate at home, or bishop e4 simply winning the queen. And after king c8, there's a very nice move here. Quite a hard move to see. Can you see the move here? Remember, you can't take the queen at the moment because the rook is on g8. Pause the video if you need a bit more time here. Rook to d8 check. What an absolutely stunning idea. The point is, if rook takes rook, we take the queen because we get rid of the pin on our g-pawn. And if any other move occurs here, well, we're going to have a checkmate position. For example, king takes d8, and now we can play bishop e2 check, simply winning the queen. I'll let you guys try to work out what would happen if knight takes rook occurs. So I'm not going to... You have to use your own brain now and again, guys. Anyway, going back, in the actual game, black decided to play knight takes e7. And now a fantastic idea. A beautiful idea. And something that, Anderson must have seen in advance. Can you spot the idea? I mean, this is so nice. It is a forced checkmate now in 4 moves. And if you see this, well, you are on your way to being a world champion in 1852. Queen takes d7 check, giving up more material. Now that queen has to be taken. What is the point of this? Well, we have an ambush with the bishop and a double check. Where would you move that bishop again? Pause the video now if you need a bit more time. You should be able to find the checkmate now. Look for double checks. Bishop f5 check is the correct square because now the king can't come to e6. And it's double check from the bishop and the rook. You have to get out of the check. Beautiful stuff. If the king goes to c6, it's checkmate in 1 move. Can you see how? I'm not even going to tell you. Well, the king moved to e8 in the game, and now it's checkmate in 2 moves. Bishop d7 check, and wherever the king goes, king f8, bishop takes e7, checkmate. Look at that checkmate, those powerful bishops. It really is some artistic scene there, with those bishops destroying the black king. And even though white so much material down, every piece played a part in the attack. And that's why this game was considered one of the most famous games of all time, the Evergreen Game. And I think that is a great introduction to the Evans Gambit. I hope you enjoyed that game. Please have a look at the other videos I'm going to post, which are going to go into more detail on the Evans Gambit. Hopefully, when you watch these videos, you'll be very confident playing the opening yourself. Bye for now.